Good afternoon. Welcome to our discipleship class. It really is the process for discipleship, which we're calling the way of Jesus. And you see the discipleship in the way of Jesus really throughout Scripture in these two kind of recurring themes you see in all of Scripture. The first kind of core foundation of discipleship is just relationship, which you see in Scripture. The second thing that you see really throughout Scripture, this kind of thread that runs throughout Scripture, is this idea of reproduce. That the legacy of discipleship is reproducing disciples. And so you see these kind of idea of relationships first in this kind of idea of mentoring. And you see this idea of mentoring all throughout Scripture. You see it maybe first in the Old Testament in the life of Moses as he mentored Joshua to take over after he left. And he did this through this kind of close life-on-life relationship with Joshua. Joshua watched Moses do all these kinds of things. So when Moses was gone, Joshua knew what to do as he followed him. But you see this thread all throughout Scripture, and you kind of finally see this in the life of Paul and his disciple in Timothy, which he treated much like a son as he invested in him. You see this especially in his letters, Timothy and 1st, 2nd Timothy, that he really instructs him to pass on and mentors him throughout his faith. The other idea of relationship throughout the Scriptures is this idea of the one another's, that God always calls a people to himself. That really the idea of discipleship without people is not seen in Scripture. In the New Testament, what you see over and over is this phrase, the one another's. You see the one another's of following Jesus all throughout the New Testament, which tells us that it is impossible to walk in the way of Jesus without other people. But this second idea we see is to reproduce. That we are not called to learn and to grow just for ourselves, but for the sake of others. Jesus' great mandate before he left was the Great Commission, seen in Matthew 28, when it was the very clear phrase to his disciples, to go and make other disciples of Jesus. Make other followers of Jesus. And then you see this legacy as Paul is writing to Timothy in the letter, 1 Timothy, I believe, chapter 2, when he says, entrust this to other people who then entrust this to other people. You see this legacy, this generational kind of passing on of discipleship that really, you think of the life like a tree, and as a person grows up in the way of Jesus, their legacy should be full of branches of other disciples made in that same way of Jesus. Thank you.